Hello everyone, it's Dylan from Yugioh Everything, and welcome back to another Yu-Gi-Oh! VRains episode review. This time we will be going over episode 100 of Yu-Gi-Oh! VRains, a huge milestone there that VRains has reached 100 episodes. Early on we weren't so sure. I was always very confident that it was going to go the full 3 years, and although there's a chance it might go a little less, it might go a little longer, there were obviously clear production issues going on with the studio that seem to have kind of figured themselves out. We had the recaps very early on, so the fact that VRains reached 100 episodes is great. I never really doubted it, but I know there were a lot of people, and I would be lying if I said I wasn't a little concerned about the studio and about the people at the studio, and I still am to some degree, but it seems like VRains has kind of figured itself out from the Studio Gallop production behind-the-scenes issues that were going on at the start of the show, so that is awesome, and it is crazy that we are already in the triple digits now of Yu-Gi-Oh! VRains episodes. It really feels like the show did not start that long ago, so it really is insane. But yeah, we are here to talk about episode 100, the second part of Playmaker vs. Bohman, the season finale of season 2. And generally speaking, how did I feel about the episode? I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it probably about the same as I enjoyed the first part of this episode, which it didn't blow me away, but I didn't think it was bad or dull by any means. There was a lot more dialogue and a lot more exchanges in this episode than I kind of anticipated. I thought this was going to be a little more dueling based, but there was a lot of dialogue between Bohman, between Playmaker. There was a lot of scenes also with the three Knights of Hanoi, Akira, and Emma. Obviously, those five are going to be vital in stopping the Neuron Link and maybe creating an opening for Playmaker while they try to create an opening for themselves to stop the Neuron Link. The dialogue between Playmaker and Bohman I thought was really interesting. I loved when Playmaker just said, "Bohman, you're lonely," and he talked about his own experiences and how when he went through the Lost Incident, he didn't have any friends, he had nothing, he felt hatred, he felt vengeance, and that's why he went on his path to destroy the Knights of Hanoi, but it was through the experiences of meeting friends, of meeting people, and that is very true to how human beings are. It was through those experiences that he was able to open his horizons and become a little less calm and a little less angry at the world and see more good in people. Bohman has not had that experience, and Bohman doesn't really seem too interested in that experience. I mean, he's an AI, he's not a human. And something that I loved is that Bohman can actually hear the people, the souls of the people that he has taken. It reminds me a little bit of Pegasus, because even though you don't have the individual where Pegasus went after Kaiba, he went after Mokuba, he went after Yugi's grandfather, it was a lot more personal. You still have that concept of removing someone from their body and them still being conscious of what's going on to a degree, where their body becomes a bit of a shell. And by the way, the people in Yu-Gi-Oh! VRains are absolutely I don't even want to call them dumb. I don't want to call them stupid, because that's obviously what they are. But they're very similar to how human beings are. And the first thing I thought of is when you're driving and there's an accident on the parkway or on the Garden State, that's the road that I always drive on, the highway, the parkway, on a street, wherever. There's a very well-known term called bottlenecking, or rubbernecking, excuse me. And it refers to traffic being backed up, not because of the accident per se, but because of everyone slowing down to try and get a look at what happened. And I'm not talking to the 1 out of 1,000 people that would actually get out of their car and help if necessary, because most of the time people just drive by. They just want to see what's happening because they're curious as to what happened in this car accident, even though truthfully, it doesn't matter. If the person needs help and you're actually willing to help them, then you should have a look and try to assess the situation. But let's be honest, I'm going to be completely blunt. 99% of people that drive past accidents, they keep on driving. It's great if you're that 1%, but 99% of people keep on driving. They just want to look. I'm not even sure why, but that's just what happens. And it all stems from human beings' curiosities as to what happened. So in this sense, in this episode, we have all of these people that are being told by Soltech, stay out of Link VRains, because there are issues in Link VRains, and people, they didn't, I guess, specifically say that people can't log out, which is kind of stupid, because people went in. By the way, oh my god, dude, this episode almost made me agree with everything Bohman was saying, because people go into this world and they see all these avatars unconscious and knocked out, and instead of being like, oh my god, this is horrible, people are like, oh man, this is so cool, this is awesome. People are smiling, and then of course the neuron link goes off and they get rightfully killed. Just some human beings are very, very crappy people. And watching that, it almost makes you understand where Bohman is coming from. And it's like, that's when people say, like, man, Thanos was onto something. Bohman maybe is onto something here. All kidding aside, of course, not everyone is like this. There's good and bad. There's heroes and evil everywhere in the world. But I loved how this episode showed that off, because obviously everyone watching is a human being, unless there's some artificial intelligence program keeping track of the events going on in Yu-Gi-Oh! VRains. So they know that the viewer is going to agree with Playmaker, and maybe agree with Bohman a little bit, but not to the point where they want to see Bohman win and destroy everything, maybe from a story perspective, but not from a realistic perspective. If this was real life, if they were in VRains, you're obviously rooting for Playmaker, you're rooting for Bohman to get stopped, you're rooting for the human race. But then you see something like this, and it makes you for a split second think, you know what, maybe Bohman isn't really that wrong about how humans are. And another thing that he said, the dialogue, honestly, this episode was really good from Bohman's point of view. Another thing that he said, which was great, was human beings and individuals will always clash. I am trying to form one vision and one ideal world, and that's it. I don't want individual ideas. I don't want individual suggestions. I don't want individuality, because that will always clash. That will lead to wars. That will lead to destruction. And in a way, he's not wrong. A lot of the things that Bohman says at face value, he's not incorrect. And that's why he's such to me, a very good antagonist. Because if you take a step back, you can understand what he's saying. He's not doing it because he hates human beings and he wants to see the world burn and he's out for vengeance, which, of course, those villains are great in their own sense. But he's doing it because he genuinely believes that he is a new coming of God. And what he's doing is right. And by saying something like individuality leads to wars, look at real life. Look at Earth. Look at the history of countries and nations. And a lot of countries, a lot of freedoms were based on war, were results of wars and fighting and conflict. And that, he's not wrong by saying that. But at the same time, individuality is what makes human beings human beings. It's what makes the world beautiful. It's what makes your experiences with people beautiful. And he always leaves that part out. And that's the one thing that he's not understanding. So the dialogue between Bohman and Playmaker in this episode I thought was incredibly well done. Another scene that I loved was when the Knights contact Emma, and Emma has this thing called a data bomb, which I imagine is going to destroy the neuron link. And something I loved is when Akira was like, we can't trust the Knights, they tormented us all these years. And Emma was like, well, they have no reason to trick us, they want revenge for what happened to Revolver. And Akira just thinks, and he goes, revenge, and he thinks of Aoi. And he has this look on, not like an evil look, but more of a pondering look. And I loved that scene because, again, it reminds you why Akira is in the VRains, why he does everything that he does. It's all for Aoi. And once Emma made the comparison, she actually didn't make the direct comparison of Revolver and Aoi being defeated by Bohman, being defeated by this group. But once she said the Knights are doing it for someone else that was defeated by Bohman and Lightning, Akira immediately was able to relate to that. And he immediately was like, let's do it. We have to trust them. So I loved how that scene played out. And these five, again, are going to be key in stopping Bohman. I imagine Bohman is going to find out at some point that they are going to try and stop the neuron link. I hope that they'll be successful. It seems that there's going to be a slight opening when Bohman does his next skill, I guess, is Master Storm Access to create a card, because when the neuron link goes off, it emits a high amount of data, and the overlapping between mirror link VRains and the regular VRains, regular link VRains, is going to be, I guess, weaker, and that's when they're going to try to step in. Emma and Akira are in the VRains, so they are definitely in more immediate danger than Faust, Gnome, and Vira. But remember, when Akira tried to stop him the first time during Bowman's duel with Aoi, he was able to identify that Akira was there, and he even knew it was Akira, and he was able to stop Akira. So Bohman, I'm very worried that Bohman will be able to foil this plot before it even gets off its feet. Another thing that I have to mention, what I thought was a the scene that really tripped me up because I did not expect it. Brave Max is dead. Brave Max, the lightning bolt went through his head. I really thought he was going to have... I mean, I can't seriously say that, but I was hoping he was going to have some sort of role where maybe he helped out Emma and Akira. Because Emma had a bit of a connection with Brave Max. Not any, serious connection, just that she knows him and knows who he is, and maybe she was going to contact him, and he would be someone that would run towards the neuron link and be kind of that vessel to get the data bomb off. I thought that would have been really cool, and I was very surprised that they kind of just killed him off very quickly in this episode, kind of out of nowhere. Surprised, but not surprised in hindsight. I mean, it's Naoki Shima. It's kind of what you expect from his character. But yeah, Brave Max is no longer with us. That was sad. The Dragrid, the dragon that Bohman has, each one has its own head, and their own heads, we've seen Aqua and Flame. They're named after the other Ignis, which is great. So I'm sure we will see Lightning, I'm sure we will see Windy, and Earth, and probably if I gets absorbed into Bohman like we all think, I will be that sixth head. And we know the effect of Flame wipes out all monsters not pointing to the link. We know the effect of Aqua negates all monster effects not pointing to the link. Now, Clock Dragon was just summoned by Playmaker. Great to see that fusion back. That fusion sequence was really awesome. Cyber's Clock Dragon's attack is currently higher than Bowman's five-headed dragon ripoff, so we will see if Clock Dragon can deliver this blow to Bohman. I don't think the attack will get through. We'll just have to wait until next week. But guys, you let me know what you thought about episode 100. Let me know your predictions on this duel and how this is going to play out. In episode 101, we have yet to see Bohman get really unhinged in terms of like crazy antagonist faces. Episode 101's preview had a few of those, and even Playmaker looked pretty intense based on the way the animation was for their faces, and it seems like I is going to sacrifice himself based on the preview, so I have a feeling 101 and 102 are going to be must-see episodes. This was kind of like the two teaser episodes, which I thought were good, but I'm really hoping 101 and 102 knock it out of the park. So guys, you let me know all your thoughts on episode 100 of Yu-Gi-Oh! VRains down below, and a special thank you to my Platinum tier patrons, Alexa Baker, Glen McGookin, Jorge Carrillo, James Rose, Samuel Stark, Thomas Adderley, Horace Maye, Goosey Q, and Vincent Van Der Veen, and to my Diamond tier patrons Jesse Wood, and to my Egyptian God tier patrons Syn Cloud and Chris Swan. A huge thank you to everyone who supports me over on Patreon. I cannot tell you how much I appreciate it and how much it truly does help out my channel, and a huge thank you to everyone who just watches these videos, because without you guys, I would not be able to do this. I will talk to you down below. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have an amazing day.